Hello there, welcome back to Crafters TV. I hope you're having a brilliant day, a wonderful Friday. I hope you've not got too much of a sort of carb comb over? No. In too much of a carb coma, you've not got someone said they had a turkey hangover in the comments a little earlier. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. The next couple of hours though, it's all going to be dedicated to a craft along, which is fabulous. And we're going to be featuring these brand new Slimline cut and emboss folders that I know so many of you already have your hands on. I'm going to be doing a bit of crafting along as well. It would be rude not to, wouldn't it? When we've got the headmistress of Crafters TV in the building. Jan Brown is here. How are you, Jan?
I'm good, thank you. We're all sort of fed and watered now, so on with our next one. And I love these shows. I think they've got to be one of my favourites. So I think the teacher side of me just enjoys being able to share it with you guys. So yes, we're going to use those beautiful cut and emboss folders. I'll show you what we're actually going to make if you haven't seen it yet, and then we'll go through what you need and give you time to get ready. So I've actually got, just on the overhead there, I've got it flat, so you can see that it folds down flat. It's a decent size, but then I'm going to flip it upright again now. I'm challenging our Charlotte to follow me, bless her. So I'm going to flip it upright and stand it up, and it's what's called a pinwheel card, because you can see in the top element there that it creates that kind of pinwheel effect. So really simple to do. It's another one again that's 4 parts, and each part's all the same. So once you've done one side, we're just going to repeat it on the other 4 sides, and it's this central column in the middle that holds it all together. But I love the fact that it does fold down. Now it is a decent size. We're looking at 10.5 by 8.5 finished project. So you probably would need to either make an envelope or a box for it to pop in, because it's not a standard size. Okay, so shall we have a look at what we actually need?
Yes, let's.
We've got a list of equipment and a list of products for you. So coming up any minute with our Charlotte, bless her. She's got to press the button.
She's had a McDonald's, and I think she's on the go slow now. She needs a nap, she says.
Here we go.
Next slide, please. There we go.
So we're going to use 2 different ones of the folders. Now I use the entwined hearts and the flourishing flowers, but any 2 will go together. So if you know, your choice, whatever you've got at home there. For A4 craft card, you're going to need 4 pieces of that, 4 sheets of it. We're going to cut into that to make the card bases. And then I've put 12-inch pattern paper. Now I use the vintage diary paper pad. I just like the colour scheme with the craft card. And you need 2 sheets that are patterned. So I use 2 separate pattern sheets. And then on the reverse of that pad, there's some lovely plain aspects to it. So I also needed 2 sheets of the plain one as well. All right, so we're going to do a mix and match of patterned and plain. So 4 sheets all together, but 2 of them need to be a reasonably plain design out of whichever pad you're going to work with. And then I've also added a sheet of 8 by 8 vellum. Now I took mine from the new Secret Garden pad, but we've done lots of vellum pads out there. So again, whatever you've got to hand. And then I've asked you to get sort of ready cut embellishments and stamps together, because I didn't know how long it was going to take us. But a couple of stamp sentiments and then some embellishments are basically the flower centres. That's pretty much all you need for embellishments on this one. All right, so I've just listed those there for you. And then obviously we're back to that sort of what we're calling a basic demo kit. You can see that this list, I very rarely change it much now, apart from maybe adding in the coloured inks and things like that. So we've got, the folders will fit through the Gemini MIDI, and that's what I used at home. I've actually still got my large Gemini out here, but they will go through the MIDI or the Junior. An A4 guillotine to chop up that card and paper, scoring board, scoring tool and bone folder as always to crease those folds, scissors and a pokey tool, pencil and a ruler I think is an optional one. I think that was on my list from previously. And then we're going to do a little bit of inking around the edge of the papers today to just bring them to life. So I've used plum jam because that matched my colour scheme that I was using. So water reactive ink and an applicator that will suit your chosen paper, 6mm red line tape, and then I've popped all the glues down. So the all-purpose and the tacky glue are your wet glues, and then the double-sided tape pen and the dotty tape pen, just to have those in reach in case we use them along the way. So I'll give you a few minutes to get all those things together if you've not got them collated already. But we've got another Craft Along member today. I'm not in the studio alone, as you know, and he's up for crafting, aren't you, Joe Ramblins?
I am. It's the first time we've crafted along together, isn't it?
I think it is, yes.
I'm always getting told off for going too far ahead.
Oh.
Debbie Fisher always tells me off.
Right, well, we'll see.
She says I'm quite a speedy crafter though, so
Oh,
we'll see how it goes today.
Well, this is not a difficult one because once you've done one panel, Joe, it is just repetition. So you'll probably pick it up quite quickly.
I'll probably be absolutely fine, all being well. Fingers crossed. Right, if you don't yet own these cut and emboss folders, you're thinking, gosh, I would have loved to have done that craft along. It's not too late because you can order these today. As soon as they turn up, come back and watch this back at any time you like. All of our shows are always available to view kind of forever. Every single Crafters TV show we've ever done is still there over on the website. Go back, I always say, Jan, have a little look through.
Yeah.
You see, certainly my fluctuating weight is quite hilarious if you look. A whole host
His
of
older brother used to present for us, didn't he, Joe?
He did. He's still in some of the videos somewhere. Also, our lockdown haircuts are quite hilarious. If you go back.
Facial hair.
Honestly, there was beards, no beards, tashes. Honestly, it's all going on. It's worth a good old chuckle. Go and have a look. But yes, in all seriousness, any show we've ever done is available for you to watch anytime. So get these home and then come back and do this craft along at your own leisure. Let me take you through, though, the offer we've got now. It's a buy 4, get 2 free, which is awesome, considering this is one of our recent launches. The reason we do craft alongs on specific items is it's when they have been super popular, and this one really has, so we've decided to bring your craft along on it. Let me take you through the designs you're going to get then. So you're going to receive the Butterfly Delight. I've decided I'm going to use this one actually in my craft along. We've also then got the Flourishing Flowers. They've all got that liftable element there, which is brilliant. Then you've got the interlocking circles, which I'm also going to be using in my project. This one here is your entwined hearts. You've also got spring blooms, and you will receive the interlocking squares as well. All 6 of those are coming your way in that offer. Now, this is a craft along, so if you are new here, hello, welcome. What I would say is we will take regular breaks as we go through. Jan will recap the stages as well as we go through. So if you do start to fall behind, we'll take those regular breaks for you. What I would also say, if there is anything that you miss at any point, you can get in touch with me really easily. Crafters TV if you're on Facebook, drop into the live feed there, or Crafters Companion if you're over on YouTube, and I'll pop any questions that you've got or anything you need recapping over to the lovely Jan. Kathy C is in from a very cold and stormy Northern Ireland today. There are weather warnings in certain parts of the UK because it's very windy apparently today, Jan.
When I drove up the motorway this morning, they'd actually got it on the big, the big signs over the motorway. And it said that really strong winds were forecast for tomorrow. So yeah, I think we've got a bit of a blustery day coming tomorrow,
and
Joe.
Apparently we've got strong winds and snow tomorrow. Ooh. And I've got a big night out planned tomorrow night with an outfit, Jan. I need to get back to Manchester after my show tomorrow.
From the sounds of it, it's not geared up for the snow though, Joe.
It's really, really not. But you won't lose me. If they do have to find out search and rescue, I'll be easily found in the outfit, is all I can say.
Like a beacon shining in the snow, won't you?
Like a big gold disco ball. Deborah Griffin saying hello from a very rainy New York. Patty's in Michigan. Shadaya saying hi, Prince Joe, and Nana Jan from a blinking cold Ottawa, Canada. Who else have we got? Therese's in Long Island. Georgie Ann's in from Clearwater. Gina's in from Boyne Mountain, Michigan. That sounds like a fun place, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Who else have we got? Barbara's in Indiana. Gilmore says, yes, Joe, you have to do a craft along. Rude not to. Debbie's in a turkey coma. Rose is loving my sweater. Loads of you tuning in and saying hello as well. Forecast snow in Rutland as well tomorrow. So we could have our first snow of the winter.
Way, isn't it?
It is on its way. Right, I think judging by the comments, Jan, everyone seems about ready to go if you are. Myself included. I think I've got everything I need ready to go.
All geared up with all your equipment over there, aren't you?
All the gear and no idea. That's what I've got.
So I've got my 2 chosen folders then. As I say, I was going to do entwined hearts and the flourishing flowers. So I've got, if you have a look at the design, we've got 2 sides opposite each other with one of the folders on, and then it flips and we've got 2 sides with the flowers on mine. So whatever your chosen design is there, I'm going to pop those to one side. I've got my 4 sheets of craft card ready. We're going to cut into those to make the panels for the card. And then I chose a couple of sheets of nicely patterned paper from my design. We're going to cut into those for the panels that fit on the card here. And then I've chosen a couple of sheets that have got more of that plain design on the back. And that's what we're going to cut into with those embossing folders. And we're going to do a bit of inking to bring out the embossing in them as well. You can see there that we've just done a little bit of inking on them to bring out. So let's have a look then. We're going to start off, as always, with the cutting. So I'll pop my pad to one side and bring in that big A4 guillotine. All right. So I'm going to cut the craft card first. So let me just pop those pieces to one side. Oh, I didn't mention the vellum as well. My piece of vellum was from that lovely Secret Garden vellum pad. So again, whatever you've got, as long as it's 8 inches tall, we're going to cut into that to do a couple of panels behind a couple of those apertures, all right? So I'm going to pop the extension arm out on my guillotine because we need that longer length. And then I'm going to take the pieces of craft card first. And these are all going to be the same. Now, I could only get one piece out of a sheet of our A4 cardstock, which is why I asked you to bring 4 sheets. So the slivers, the pieces that come off the end, I'd pop to one side to use as a separate project. Now, it worked out that I needed an 8.5 inch height on here. Now, our A4 is only 8.25 inches, so I'm going to have to take that 8.5 along the length. So in the guillotine, along that long side, and just line it up at 8.5 inches and make that first cut. He's ready, look, he's poised. Whoosh, I could see him then waiting to crunch.
I didn't want to cut before you cut for the first time because I thought you might tell me off.
Just keep these bits to one side. As I say, these are actually spare, but they would, in my book, they will come in for another project. And then rotate that to the side that you've just cut, and then we want to measure it at 5 1/4 inch. So you're going to end up with a couple of pieces of, these go in my scrap box either for die cutting or using at a later date. So let's just pop on there then. Let me just make sure that's right. Yeah, we're okay. So on here then, let me just make sure we've got 8.5 inches by 5 1/4 inch. So we've got screenshot time there for you if I hold you that up. Okay, and we need to do that 4 times. So the other 3 sheets of craft card, we're going to cut to exactly the same size as this one. So I'm just going to continue cutting. First along that long side at 8.5. And then rotate and cut at 5 1/4. So we need 4 pieces that are all the same size. And then, as I say, just keep these scraps to one side and pop them in that scrap box for die cutting at a later date. So
fabulous.
Again, piece
Following
number
so
3,
far.
8.5. It's nice and straightforward. Those of you that joined me to make the star book a few weeks ago now, when we used the Masquerade collection, it's not the same project, but it's a similar idea in that once you've done one panel, it's repetition for the other 4.
Just as a note, Jan, a side note, when you're lining up on your guillotine, do you look at the lines that go down?
Yes.
Because I tend to do that and put it in the very centre of that line. Is that right?
That's pretty much what I do, Joe, yeah. Because if you look at the lines above, they're almost lined up with the centre of that groove. So that's what I tend to do with mine, yeah. Because sometimes that 1/8 of an inch can make all the difference when you're trying to line things up. All right, so again, 5 1/4 by 8.5. So I've now got my 4 panels there that all measure the same. And just to show you that one again, 8.5 by 5 1/4. Okay, so that's our main panels there. Then we need to come to the pattern paper. So if you take your 2 sheets that you've chosen to use the design on the paper pad, so not the plain ones, the design pieces. And again, unfortunately, I couldn't get all 4 of them out of one sheet, so you will end up with some spare pieces. So I want you to rotate this so that the design's sideways. Okay, now again, think about if it's an all over print, you don't need to worry about it, but for mine, I like this bottom half here of the actual design, so I'm going to chop off the top. So just have a look. We talked about orientation of paper before and where the design is, where the pattern is, depending on what sheet you're using. Decide which bit you want, but we're going to cut off the top and then cut some panels here to mat and layer onto that craft card. So think about what area of that design design that you want. So this one, we're going to take 8.5, 8.25 in height. All right, so again, I'm just going to take the top section, and again, this is a spare piece that I would hang on to use at a later date. And I've now got the height here that's the perfect height to mat and layer on my piece that we've just cut there. So I now need to cut 2 panels out of it to go on here. So because the outside layer was 5.25, we're going to cut this down to 5 inches. Now again, think about which part of it you want to use. So I'm going to cut mine from this side first because I like that area with the books on it, and we want 5 inches straight there. And I've got those little books and just the beginning of this piece in here. And then again, I think I'm going to stay with that side and cut this plain edge off here so that I'm not too worried about that. So again, cut this one down to 5 inches, and I've got all that lovely detail there with the roses and the letter on. Excuse me. Do you know that always happens when I'm here, Joe?
I know.
It always does.
You are the common denominator.
So I've got 2 pieces there, the perfect size for matting and layering, and I've chosen that sort of design element that I wanted off my pattern piece of paper. And then we're going to do the same with the second sheet. So again, mine's got that lovely design at the bottom, so I'm going to take that top section off again. So it wanted to be 8.25. All right, and then just take that top piece off there, so that's spare. And then again, I've got much more going on at this side of the paper than I have here, so this bit will be the waist bit. So I'm going to cut that 5 inches from this side first, so that I've got some of that nice detail on my sheet there. And then I'm going to take the other 5 inches to get the rows and what was left of that patterning at this side.
I have to take my waist like well away, like almost into the next postcode, Jan. Otherwise, I end up trying to make it from the waist rather than the actual bits that we need.
So let's just pop on the back of here for you then that these were 8.25 times 5 inches. All right, so again, those of you that are just following me with those screenshots, that's your pattern pieces, 4 of 8.25 by 5 inches. Okay, so that's that bit at the ready. And then I asked you to think about a couple of the plainer designs. Okay, so first of all, we're going to make the pieces that are going to go into our embossing folder. So we need these pieces first. So again, these are going to measure 8.25 inches tall. So again, I'm going to line that up at my 8.25 mark. And then they need to measure 3.5 inches. So I'm going to get 3 of those out of my width here. So 3.5, and I always think about this when you're cutting into papers, pattern papers particularly, and cardstock for that matter. Have a think about what's the most frugal way to get, the most out of your piece of paper. I don't like wasting pattern papers and things. It's something that I always think about. And again, if need be, measure it out on a piece of scrap paper and look at what's the best way, best orientation. Now, the one that's left that we cut off the top measures 3.5 inches, just as if by magic. So literally out of this one, I'm going to use that as the width, and I'm just going to take that 8.25 inch out of that panel there to make my 4th one to go with these. So again, let's pop on here for you. Let's just find a one that one's not too bad there. So this one we've got 8.25 by 3.5 inches. All right. Can you see that on there okay?
Got that.
And then we want 4 of those at the ready. Okay, so that's popping all these together for now. And then the last bit to cut there is going to be that second sheet that I asked you to get.
Yep.
And we need to make this piece in the middle that it's all built around, this cube in the middle here, is actually paper. And I'll explain why when we come to put that together. So we need to create that piece now for the actual sort of folding element in the middle. So again, it doesn't really matter which bit you take this from because it's not going to be seen. But we need a piece that measures 8.5 inches by 6.5. So however you want to cut into this, it doesn't really matter how you do it. But 8.5 8.5 by 6.5. Okay, so there are some scraps to pop to one side. Pop them in the scrap bin and use those at a later date. So this one measured, I'll write it you on a separate piece there because that's going to be, oh no, it's not going to be seen, is it? I can write it on that side. So 8.5 by 6.5 inches there for you. So that's that central piece. We're going to score this one on the next part of the instructions. So that's everything cut to size apart from that piece of vellum. So the last cut, I'm going to use the whole 8-inch height of this. So I've got the orientation looking at it the right way. Okay, and I just want to cut 2 sections that measure 3 3/8. All right, so just bring it in slightly from that 3.5-inch mark, and I'm going to take one off that side so that I've got the roses on that side.
3 3/8.
3
So just below the 4, Jan, is that right?
So if you look on if you're using our guillotine, you've got 1/16 of an inch markings.
Yep.
So where the 4 inches, you need to come in a little mark and then to the next one.
Awesome.
And that's your 1/8 of an inch, yeah? All right. So again, let's have a look. We're on 3 3/8. So it'll be just this side of 3.5 inches.
Oh.
Yeah?
Yeah,
okay?
sorry. Yeah, I just got getting me 8s in a muddle. 1 second. So 3 3/8.
So
I've gone for 3 7/8 by accident.
So get it at 3.5.
And then come
and
down
then
one.
just come to the right, 2 of those little marks. So one of the tiny marks, and then the next one is your 1/8 of an inch. So you're sort of halfway between the grooves if you're using our guillotine there. So I'm literally just halfway in between that groove. Not quite 3.5, but a bit more than 3 1/4.
Fabulous.
And I'm just going to take that into that 3 1/8. So I've got a little bit of spare there, and we need these 2 pieces. So we've got a pile of bits at the ready, and I'm going to let everybody catch up and make sure you've all got those. If you need any measurements repeating, give Joe a shout and he can pass on that information.
Absolutely.
And just give everybody a chance to get to that point so that you've got all the pieces at the ready, yeah?
Patty says, happy Black Friday from California. 2 tides craft along, but I'm saving it to make later as Jan's craft alongs never disappoint. They never do. Adriana says, we'll watch and definitely should be giving this a go a little bit later. Gilmore says, the videos from last year are like looking at videos from the 1980s. I feel like the 70s now. Everyone's got their tashes on the go. That's brilliant. Mary Rhino says, hello, Mary Rhino is here from Maine. Her name's actually Mary Reno, but she was once mistakenly called Mary Rhino. So I've decided to start calling her Mary Rhino.
Do you know, the daftest things stick, don't they?
They really do.
Going back years and years and years, when I very first started out in my work life, I worked for one of the big banking corporations. And I always remember one of the lads that worked there. Obviously, I've always been Jan all my adult life. Most people call me Jan, but his nickname, for some reason, was Jan Butty.
Jam Butty?
Jam, not Jan, Jan Butty.
He called you Jam Butty?
That's what he used to call me, my nickname, yeah. And I have no idea why, because I'm not that big a fan of Jam Butty. Had it been a bacon butty, I could have understood it, but yeah, Jam Butty, yeah.
There you are.
And I still remember it. I mean, I've not seen the guy for years, but I still remember it to this day, yeah.
I was quite a large kid. My nickname at primary school was Pie. Just Pie. Just Pie. Gilmore says, love, love, love these papers. They are absolutely gorgeous. And then I went to see Waitress, the musical, last weekend. It's all about pie. And the cafe it's setting is called Joe's Pie Diner. I mean, it was like it was written, wasn't it? Yeah. Joe died at the end. Oh, I haven't ruined it for you.
Don't need to go see that now.
Yeah, don't need to see that one. Why do I say these things? Greetings, Jan, Joe, CTV staff, crafters who comment, and those that watch. Happy Friday. I love seeing where everyone hails from. Crafters all around the world who share a common interest in Crafts Companion. It's just so exciting. It is blooming exciting, Sandy, isn't it? Right, remember you can go for these Slimline cut and emboss folders. They are available for you today, and as we have ascertained in the comments, you can come back and watch any of our shows anytime you like. So these are the 6 designs that you're going to get in here. You're going to get the gorgeous butterflies. I'm choosing to use these in my craft along today. No, got to have the schmetterlings in there.
I knew you'd go in there with the butterflies.
You've got the flourishing flowers. We've also got this one here, which is your interlocking circles. You've got your entwined hearts. This one here is your spring blooms, and then you've also got these ones as well, which are your interlocking squares. They are the 6 designs you get. You pay for 4 and we send you 6. I think that is really quite nice of us, don't you? What we've also got available, because it is Black Friday, are some amazing flash deals across the website. Now, on all of the Gemini machines that we've got in stock, we are doing a flash sale of 25% off the machines on their own, which is something we very, very rarely do. It is a flash sale though, so you will have to act very, very quickly. That includes the Gemini Pro. Oh, yeah. If you want to get it, the saving is massive, £112 or $124 you can save on this machine only during this flash sale. If you are new to it though, maybe you haven't seen it before, let's share with you all the details of the incredible Gemini Pro. Take a look.
Supersize your die cutting and embossing potential with the Gemini Pro. With a huge 12x12 cutting platform as standard, this machine is perfect, not only for larger projects and batch making, but also for cutting all elements, mats and layers for your smaller projects in one pass too. The machine is capable of cutting through all sorts of materials, including card, craft metal, leather, wood, felt, and multiple layers of fabric. The power, pressure and performance that you've come to expect from the Gemini family of electronic die cutting machines has been enhanced to the next level. It's been engineered for superb edge-to-edge cutting of up to 12x18 size materials with perfect results every time. In the box, along with your Gemini Pro machine, you'll receive 2 clear cutting plates, a rubber embossing mat, a magnetic shim, plastic shim and metal shim, all 12x12, power cord, plus of course your comprehensive instruction booklet that will guide you through the plate combinations you need for your different dies and embossing folders. Larger 12x18 plates are also available separately to boost your creativity even further. So, whether you're a card maker, scrapbooker, create paper or fabric embellishments, table decorations, wedding stationery or keepsake gifts, to name but a few, this machine will revolutionise your crafting experience.
All the details there for Gemini Pro. Deals across all of our Gemini machines for our amazing Black Friday sale. Remember, we're launching a brand new daily deal as well every single day, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And there are also up to 70% off on amazing Black Friday products over on the website as well. The measurement of the vellum, Kathy was asking for again.
So on the vellum there, we're looking, I've left it, mine was from an 8-inch paper, 8-inch vellum pad, so I've left the 8-inch on the height of it and then just cut it down to 3 3/8, which is just slightly smaller than that 3.5 because I want it to sit behind one of these pieces that we cut. So I've just cut it a fraction smaller so that when we stick it underneath, you're not going to see any sticking out. So leave the 8-inch height. If it's from a larger pad, it wants cutting down to 8 inches tall and 3 3/8. You just need 2 pieces of that one.
Fabulous. Right, well, I think everyone is pretty much ready to crack on if you are.
Right.
Just talking about names, Rachel says, I had a teacher called Mrs. Kittle and my mum accidentally called her Mrs. Kettle once and she wasn't very impressed.
Oh, but it's not the first time. Crikey. Do you know, people offend too easily, don't they, honestly?
They do.
Right, so we're going to do a little bit of practice with the old inking now, because I don't normally do this in the craft alongs. Often say that maybe I've done it on the sample, but I thought we'd have a go and do a bit of practice today. So the 4 sheets that we cut from the pattern paper and the 4 sheets that we did for the Slimline folders, we're just going to ink. Now it does take a couple of minutes or so, but when you look at that piece of, look at the plainer one there compared, let me see if I can find the similar, here we go, look, if you look at this one that I've got on the card compared to this one, it just finishes it, and I love inking stuff. I nearly always do, to be honest, and it draws your eye into what's actually going off on that piece of paper. So inks and ink applicator, I've chosen Plum Jam because I wanted to give it a bit of a pink tinge. As always, you know me, it's got to be pink, and I've taken one of the round applicators. Now if you're a fan of the rectangular ones, they'll do just the same. You can use the little foam eggs as well. Have I got one in there? I think I have one of these. If you've got one of these, Okay, but I actually prefer the applicators for this particular process. And the secret of this is, rather than coming straight onto your card, is to keep the applicator tilted at like about a 45-degree angle. The reason being is, if you come on straight and you've inked up your applicator, you're going to get that circle. Each time you go round, you're going to get the print from the outside of the applicator, circle, 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 and then it's not so easy to blend in, especially if you're only doing the edges. So I'm going to take the lid off, I'm going to ink up that applicator, and then I always try and get rid of any sort of surplus here, just round the edges, to make sure that it's not overloaded with ink. And then I'm right-handed, so I tend to start on this right-hand corner here. And again, as I say, it's coming at an angle so that you're just basically skimming the edge. And literally, just keep going round. You can pick up that ink off here if it starts getting a little bit dry. And you can see there how now it's just bringing that edge in nicely. If I use one of those scrap bits and show you what I mean about keeping it flat, you guys carry on inking.
Jan, I absolutely love this.
I know.
I feel like it's my new favourite thing.
If you keep this flat, can you see what I mean about you get those sort of half semicircles? Can you see the difference between how just subtle this is? And this is hard to get rid of. It's okay if you're doing a whole sheet, but if you're just wanting to blend round the edge, it's hard to get rid of this now because there's nowhere to go with it. So again, just the secret is keeping that foam blender just at an angle, and I want you to go round all 8 pieces. So you've got 4 of the patterned ones and then 4 of those slimline ones that we cut to do the folders with, and it just finishes it off, I think. I particularly like this if for example, if I was using white cardstock over, like we've got with the craft card, I don't like to see the white edge of the card against here. It's like a different layer because obviously the card's not white, the paper. This is craft card, and when you've got that white edge across it, it's just something that I personally don't like. And I just think it looks such a nice effect just to sort of blend it all together. It all becomes part of that one design. So as I say, we're going to do that literally, and lots of practice for you today, on all 4 of those pieces. So just keep it at an angle and literally all the way around. That, depending on what paper you've chosen, it's like here you don't see as much of it because that paper's darker, but then when it comes round into the lighter areas again, it's just bringing it all together and making it all more uniform. So here I can see that pink tinge in it now coming in nicely. So again, just take your time with it. We've got plenty of time.
Always surprised how far it goes, the ink as well, Jan.
It
You know, like,
does.
even if you've got a little bit on your mat, you just pick it up with your blending tool.
So where I tried to get it off the applicator, I keep going back into that now, just working with ink that you can manage. If you fill your ink, sponge applicator up to the brim with ink and put it on here, you're going to get ink all over here. That makes sense. So again, it's just about being gentle with it and just bringing those edges in, just so that everything tones in nicely.
And I haven't got any on my hands. I've done 4. I mean, that's it's a Christmas miracle, Jan. It really is.
So as I say, I just get to a point now where I have to ink everything normally. It's just something that I like to do. It's a look that I like. Some of you might like that nice, clean and simple look. And if you don't want to do the inking, it's not going to do any harm if you miss this stage out. If you don't like it, if it's not your thing, then leave them as they are. It's not going to make any difference to the project. It's purely a personal thing about how those pieces look.
I'm not going to ink my smaller panels, Jan, because they're the same colour as the ink I use for the main focal panel. So I'm just going to leave those plain, the back ones I've decided.
Okay, that's
Is that
fine.
all right?
Yeah, that's what I say. It's not a must do. It's an optional thing, this, and it's very much my kind of thing. You know that I love my inks, and I love this sort of effect that it gives you, that lovely little sort of halo, that glow of colour around the edge of your cardstock.
I've got a funny story though for you about names, Jan, if you want it.
Go on.
So, I mean,
I'm just going to carry on inking those.
Karen says, I used to work with a woman with the last name Butts. It wasn't until I was talking to her mum, Mrs. Payne, that I realised she went from Miss Payne to Mrs. Butts. So the wedding announcement said, Payne Butts Wedding.
Oh my days.
That's fantastic. I love that.
I know when I first met Steve, obviously.
He was a pain in the butt.
No, no, but he always used to make me laugh because obviously we had a conversation quite early about the fact that I wanted to have a family. So, you know, you get that out the way, don't you? Because there's no point in bothering with a guy if he doesn't want a family and you
That's
do.
usually when they leave, to be honest, Jan, for me.
Yeah, but no, he was quite happy. He wanted a family too. So we were quite glad about that. And we were talking about, after, we'd been together a while.
Oh, no, usually I mention it on the first date. Maybe that's why I'm going wrong.
Oh, no, get the question out there, yeah. But then we were talking about, sort of, was it time to start thinking about having a family? And one of the stipulations was that if I had a little boy, I wasn't allowed to call him Matthew.
Why?
Because he'd be forever known as Matt Brown.
Matt Brown.
And it's a paint colour, isn't it?
Yeah.
Matt Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear. So, yeah, I'm just going to go just round those last ones.
I mean, a friend of mine, his surname is Shufflebottom. I mean, nothing really goes with that, so he's doomed. That's a real name, Shufflebottom.
I've not heard that one before. I used to go to school with someone who was a Longbottom. And then as they got older, they started pronouncing it as Longbotham.
Longbotham.
Longbotham. I'm like, oh my goodness. Longbotham, yeah.
I will be using this technique much more after watching this demonstration, says Deborah. Can I ask what ink pads are being used? I was using the Silent Night. Which one are you using?
I've got a water reactive ink pad and mine's Plum Jam, which is the darkest of the 3 pink tones. There's no surprise there that it's from the pink range, is it?
Absolutely not.
But yeah, I love this. One of my favourite colours, the Plum Jam. It's like a, named quite aptly, yeah. They are quite good colours. But again, if you've got the pigment inks, they will work just the same. The quick dries, not quite as easy to do the blending with because as you know, you've seen us demonstrate, they do dry as soon as they hit the paper. So they wouldn't be my first choice for doing this technique. But if you've got the water reactives or the pigment inks, then they will both work beautifully to do this. And the pigment inks tend to be a little bit lighter hue to them because of the nature of the way the ink made. So even though they're the same colour family as our Harmony Water Reactives, I think sometimes if I'm wanting a paler tint, I will pick the opaque pigments. But that one was water reactive and it was Plum Jam. All right,
Fabulous.
so I've done all my 4 pieces now. We'll pop that out of the way. And then I'm just going to have a little clean up just to make sure that I don't transfer that ink onto the rest of the cards. So,
Mary Ryan says, I love these papers. I always ink the edges as well. Anne Kalinowska says, Jan went to Hogwarts. That's all the comment says, I'm not sure. Did you go to Hogwarts, Jan?
it said what? If
Jan went to Hogwarts.
Jan went...
Oh, because of Neville Longbottom. There we go.
I'm with you, yes. Oh, I would love to go to Hogwarts. That's on my to-do list.
Have you been to the Harry Potter studio tour?
No, it's on my to-do list. My youngest daughter is a big Harry Potter fan, to the extent that she's got a whacking big piece of ink on her leg that's one of the quotes from Harry Potter.
Wow.
It is very nice, in saying that, but it's massive. It's the top of her thigh. But yeah, she's been down there to the studio and she said it is absolutely brilliant.
It is magical.
So it is somewhere I'd like to go. I must admit, it's not something that I've done just yet, so it's on the list. Right, so do we need to let everybody catch up with the inking, or do you think we're okay?
All right. I mean, from this end, everything looks fine, so I reckon we're right to carry on if you are, Jan.
Okie dokie. So the piece that we measured that was 8.5 by 6.5. So this was the only piece left that was from that plain sort of section. We're going to use the scoreboard now. So I'm going to bring in my scoreboard and scoring tool on the inches side here. And you want this in that orientation that your long side is vertical. So I've got the short side across my scoreboard here. So this is the 6.5 inch side. And it doesn't really matter which way round it is because this is not actually going to be seen. And I did say I'd talk about why we'd use paper. So this is going to be the piece that we stick all the panels to that creates this section in the middle here. And the reason that I've used paper rather than cardstock was basically to avoid bulk. Because if you can imagine using craft card, we're going to fold this into a cube, and having that width of craft card, it's not going to fold as flat as what this does. Now the actual paper is strong enough for what we need, and it just got rid of some of the bulk out of the centre there. So we're just going to create enough to fold round into that cube. So 6.5 inches across the top there. I want you to score first at 1.5 inches and just be mindful that it is paper, so you don't need to press quite as hard as when it's a cardstock. I tend to go gentle and more times. And then we're going to move on to 3 inches. So we're making 1.5 inch panels there. So 1.5 and then 3 is our first 2 lines. And then we're going to go to 4.5 and then 6. So we've got 4 columns that measure 1.5 inches. So I'll just repeat those score lines for you.
See, because I'm a lefty, Jan, I have to spin it round and do the half. I can't do it.
Say that again.
Because I'm a lefty.
Oh right, I
have to spin it around to do the half. I can't do the half on that side.
That's okay. You make it work for you. There's no right or wrong, Joe. And that's a good point actually, because I am right-handed. So yeah, the other way of doing it, Joe, is to spin your whole board round.
Oh, great shout.
Yeah, so just tip it upside down and you're okay on that same line, but whatever works for you. Like I said, there's no right or wrong. So along that 6.5 inch side then, we've scored at 1.5, 3, 4.5 and 6. Do you want me to write that down again for you so that you can screenshot, guys? So if I put score at 1.5, 3, 4.5 and 6. So again, those of you that like to just ignore this one for the time being. That's score lines so that you've got 4 vertical columns that are all 1.5 inches wide. Okay? And then we're going to burnish those next. So pop your scoreboard to one side, grab your bone folder, and wherever you've popped a score line, and I actually want my pink on the inside. So when I look down the column here in the middle, I can see that pink paper rather than the pattern design. So have a look. You might decide that you want this side. You don't see much of it, to be honest, but have a think how you want it. So because I want the pink, I'm literally going to fold mine in on itself. And then just be mindful that these edges line up. When you've folded it across, you want that bottom edge to line up perfectly, and then burnish that fold line in place. And we're going to do that along all those score lines. So go along to your next one, and again, just pay particular attention that everything's nice and square when you fold it across. That way we're going to get our card nice and neat instead of being on the wonk.
We don't want a wonky card.
We're going on the third one. It just makes for problems later on, Joe, really.
Right.
And
then
again,
you start trimming bits off. And
make sure it's all nice and neat, and then burnish it in place. And then the last one is that little 1/2 inch, which is going to become our glue tab to secure it together. But even again, still making sure that this is all nice and neat at the bottom. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stick this together to make that cube for the centre. Now, because you can see down the middle to a certain extent, I'm going to put the glue tab around the outside. Now, I know that sounds a bit weird, but we won't actually see this side because we're going to stick the panels to it. So again, nice and neat inside, glue tab around the outside. So I'm going to use wet glue for this, and I'm going to use it's tacky glue that I have. So this one that I asked you to pop on your equipment list, I decant into the little applicator because I find it easier to use. And then I'm going to pop this on the plain side of my paper, just on that 1/2 inch strip. So literally all the way down here. Okay. And you want a nice seal on this because this is sort of like the construction part of the card. So make sure you've got a glue all the way down. And then if you fold one piece in on itself, like so, this one then will fold automatically to the right place because we've done all the scoring. And again, just make sure that your top and bottom are lined up nicely, and then burnish that seal to just squidge all that glue into place. And then when you're happy that that's stuck together, you can squish it over onto the following lines and just burnish those pieces back into place. So it should lay flat on both sides. So just keep rocking it backwards and forwards on those score lines, until it lays nice and flat, and you've got it sealed, and it should make that perfect sort of cube for the centre. That makes sense?
Yep.
Yep.
Just making sure I've got it stuck properly.
Yeah. If you want to use your tape pen, the tape pens are strong enough. So the double-sided tape in here, if you prefer to work with the tape pens, then you could actually have run that down there. I'm wherever I can, I do tend to be a wet glue girl, I must admit. So I'm just going to leave that to one side now to dry.
Fabulous.
And we'll get our mats and layers out of the way, and then we'll start some die cutting. So I want you to take the 4 pattern pieces of paper, and then I want to take the 4 sheets of craft card. All right, and I want you to stick, so I'm going to leave you guys to do this while we just go on to something else, but I want you to stick all the pieces on here so that you've got 4 layers that are all matted and layered.
What adhesive are you going to use there, Jan?
I'm going to use my Kalal for this one, the all-purpose. So again, adhesives for purpose, because I'm going paper to cardstock, gives me that little bit of wriggle room to get them nice and straight. I'm going to go with that all-purpose solvent glue there. So I'm going to leave you to pop all 4 of those pieces together, and then we'll regroup when we've got those stuck together.
Fantastic.
Okay? And our Joe's doing a great job at multitasking, Joe.
I
You're
know.
actually myth-busting over there.
I know, you really
it's
are.
a bit of a myth that you guys can't multitask.
Oh,
and
I
yet
know.
he's doing a great job.
It's not the case,
It's
clearly.
not, is it? Definitely.
My problem with the gluing, Jan, is I sometimes don't get the glue far enough to the edge.
Right.
And then I end up with, you know,
Curly
wispy
corners. Curly corners.
Yeah, which I don't want curly corners, but I think we're doing all right. Right. There we are. That looks all right, doesn't it? Perfect.
Look at that. I like
right.
the choice of paper there, Joe.
Whilst you stick all of those together, Mo number 2 says, Joe, you are such an efficient and neat crafter. I love when you craft along. You make it extra fun. Evelyn says they're also left-handed and they tend to spin the board round, as you said, Jan.
Yeah.
So it's another great way. Caroline French is crafting along, but she's going a bit rogue as well at the same time. So I guess you can go a bit rogue if you want to, can't you? There's nothing wrong with that.
Rogue. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Right, I've just put my finger in the glue. Whilst you finish gluing those panels together and I get this glue off my hand, let's share with you all the details of Club Inspire, or missed a bit.
Welcome to Club Inspire, the crafters' companion community where you can feed your crafty obsession. Join our fantastic loyalty club today and receive 20% off your first order. We'll also give you 250 points to help get you started. Other benefits of joining Club Inspire include exclusive special offers and discounts for Club Inspire members only, exclusive sneak peek previews of brand new product launches, and of course the Club Inspire community group on Facebook, where you can access exclusive content such as downloads, offers and inspiration, and of course you can chat and share your makes with other members. You'll receive 1 point for every £1, dollar or euro you spend, and the more points you receive, the more benefits you'll unlock. So what are you waiting for? Sign up, join the club and start rewarding yourself today.
We've had to make some changes to our shipping charges and we want to keep you informed. With continued pressure on domestic shipments around mainland US, we've had to temporarily increase the cost of our regular 6 to 10 working day standard shipping service from $9.99 to $12.95 and our free shipping threshold from $100 to $125. We also have some really great news to tell you. We've introduced a brand new shipping service called Express Delivery. This is a fully tracked door-to-door service which takes 3 to 7 working days and costs $19.95. This option means you'll get your crafty goodies in your hands sooner, meaning less waiting and more crafting. We're also upgrading delivery services for our Gold and Platinum Club Inspire members who will now receive priority delivery on all of their orders. And if that wasn't enough, we've upgraded these orders to our new Express 3 to 7 day service. Your patience and understanding throughout this very busy time has been amazing. So we'd just like to say a huge thank you and we look forward to chatting to you again very soon.
Welcome to Crafters TV, With more than 35 hours of live shows each week, it's your home for all things craft. We shine the spotlight on new and innovative crafting products with live tutorials and demonstrations. Join our family of craft experts where fun happens every day.
Quiet. The neighbours. I'm all out of Zoom. I'm so lost without you. I'm not singing. Lisa, if you email in, don't send a picture of your air fryer. Make sure it's something creative.
Get creative and craft along. With our amazing deals, your next craft project is just a click away. Tune in live 7 days a week, or you can watch us on Catch Up at crafterscompanion.com, Facebook, or our YouTube channels. You can chat to us, craft along, and meet new friends by joining our online crafting community.
You entertain us, you give us a community to talk, in the chat. That wouldn't happen without you guys. It's like Crafters Companion is magical. There's magic here.
Joy, there's not a dry eye in the studio here. Debbie's welling up, I'm welling up.
There's a show for every type of crafter, from first-time dabblers to full-time makers. Crafters TV. Create every day.
Loads of information for you there. I think we are all caught up. How are you doing at home? I must say it makes it very sturdy, doesn't it, when you put that all-purpose on there, Jan?
All-purpose is almost like adding another layer of cardstock, and that's why I like to use it when I'm constructing anything like this. It's known in the trade as rubber cement, and it sets really solid. So any kind of construction or anything like that, or anything, like this that's got movement in it, literally people are going to play with it. You want something that's going to live up to the job there. So yeah, I would always go with that. So I've got my 4 pieces all matted and layered now. We're going to pop those back to one side for a second now. Let those dry before we start doing anything else with them. And then this time we're going to bring in those 4 skinny ones that we cut, the plain ones, and we're going to bring our embossing folders in now. So I chose the entwined hearts and the flourishing flowers, and I want 2 of each, so we're going to do sort of opposite sides. So on my card there I've got flowers on this side and this side with the paper that had the envelopes on, and then when we flip it I've got the hearts and the hearts from the piece that had the letters on. All right, so whatever, you might want to use 4 different ones. You could put a different one on each of the sides. Entirely your interpretation, okay? So what we're going to do then is take these in turn, and because it is just a cut and emboss folder, it behaves like a ordinary embossing folder. So I've got the Gemini still out here, so I'm going to use my 2 clear plates. Joe, I think you're using our MIDI, aren't
I've got the MIDI, so that's just the purple shim.
Have you got? That's
just
right.
The purple shim.
Yeah, so just your purple shim over there with your stuff on top, and that will wind through. And we're going to cut 2 of each design. So again, we just need to work our way through the pieces. And the measurements I've given you are just slightly smaller than the folder, so that you don't get those sort of lines down the edge there.
I've still got the lines, John. Oh.
All right, and again, I'm going to pop it in between my 2 plates. Don't worry, Joe. It's not right or wrong. It's just what you get used to. And then I'm just going to pass mine through there. So we're going to do 2 with the hearts and 2 with the flowers in my case. So again, take that one out. You don't actually need the aperture pieces this time, so I'm just going to be very, very careful when you take these out that you don't, because it is only paper, don't rip it, and we just want this piece here, so I don't need any of the little aperture pieces. I'm going to keep them together and pop those in the bin. So again, just make sure that you've got all your paper out of your folder before you pass it through again, because if you leave it in there, it will impact your next cut, and you may get areas that are not cut through as nicely as you would wish. So again, I'm going to line that one up in there again. Just make sure it's got a nice border all the way around. Pop that between those 2 plates, and I keep rotating the plates each time it goes through there, just for that housekeeping and to keep them nice and flat.
See, mine's a look a bit different, isn't it? Because mine are not, I've just realised that mine, of course, aren't coming out of my butterfly, so I'm going to get a very slightly different look to
That's okay.
Jan's.
That's okay, yeah. All right, so again, just be gentle. As I say, be mindful that it is just paper and not cardstock. So I've got 2 there with the hearts on. pop all the scrap together and we can fold that away at the end. He's winding away over there, he's on it.
Got a good action apparently, according to Johnny.
Ah. So again, I'm just being careful to take all those little pieces out. And if any do get
Craig
stuck,
holds a record apparently.
just take your pokey tool there.
What was the fastest MIDI pass? Right.
Oh my goodness, that day Craig did it. Craig was like, it looks as if he was on something. He went that fast. Right, so I'm going to pop that one to one side and bring in my flowers and do exactly the same. So I've actually got the die cut element at the top, so it's going to cut through the card or through the paper.
I feel like I want to try now and see if I can beat him, Jan.
He's on a mission. And then again, pop that in between. Pass it through the Gemini. Now I've got, mine's like yours now, the flower one, Joe. Oh, we're going to time him.
Well, I mean, that was, I don't know if it was as fast as Craig, but apparently I hesitated as I pulled it out, apparently. If I'd have been a bit more decisive at the end, I could have done it. Yeah, a couple more practices, we'll be there.
Right, now then, if you're using the flower one like I've got here, just be careful with the petals, because if you pull it, there's a chance it's going to tear in here. So just make sure that those petals have actually dislodged in place before you peel it back. Otherwise, you might. So can you see how I'm just making sure that they've released? So if they get stuck like this in the die, just pop your pokey tool and help it release there, because you don't want to tear the petals off. So just slide it under and make sure that they're released. If you release 2 or 3 of them, you can then peel it back and take the others out there nice and gently. You can see there, we've got that lovely detail. And this is a bit like your butterfly one, Joe. The petals stay in place and then we can just lift them and 3D them once we've finished. So that's my first one. There's no waste to take out of that one. And then again, the last one, we're going to do the same again. Now there may be a temptation to do these together. You might think, oh well, it's only paper, Jan, you know, we'll put them both in together, and the machine will cope with that. You will be able to cut 2 of them together. The reason I don't do that is because I find you don't get as much detail on the second one. As far as the embossing's concerned, it never seems to come up as neat as what that first one does. Because it's behind this, there's a certain element of it missing, so I prefer to actually cut them separately. So I've got my 4 there again, and again I'm just going to be careful with this one to make sure that those little petals release nicely.
Mary Rhino's got a great, does something you'll love, Jan.
Yeah.
She says, does anyone else keep a scrapbook with samples of cards you've made? I usually make 2 of the same card, 1 to give, and then I put 1 in the book in case I need inspiration at a later date.
What a fabulous idea.
How amazing is that?
Now I'm similar to that, but I use photos.
Right.
So I normally take photos of what I've made, and obviously I've got all those on my computer, so I've got them to refer back to. So similar kind of thing, just a different way of doing it. But yeah, what a nice thing to have, to visually look through and actually go back and look through what you've done. Like that idea. So all the aperture pieces I'm going to pop in the bin. I don't actually need those. And then we've got those lovely die cut pieces at the ready. You can see those there. So I'm going to bring the ink tool back in now with the ink. Now I'm not actually going to re-ink it yet because there is still plenty of ink left in here. And I just want to and I'm going to keep it flat this time, very, very lightly all over the surface here. And what I'm aiming for is the embossing. So again, just keep it flat, almost just as if you've settled it on top, and then just in a circle. And you can see how it's catching that embossing and just popping it out. Can you see here how it's bringing it out to life?
Oh, nice.
So just whatever one you've chosen, there'll be some form of embossing because of the nature of it being a cut and emboss folder. And I just think it links it all together nicely with that ink, and it just brings it out and makes it stand out a little bit more. So again, there's enough ink in there. I might need to re-ink it before I've done all 4 of them, but you don't want this too wet. So I literally, if you look at this one now compared, you can see very little here, but you can see where it's bringing out that embossed detail. So now that I've used the excess off there, I am going to take out, but I'm not rubbing it, I've literally just tapped it on the ink pad this time. Again, make sure you've not got too much, and I'm going to do the same to all 4 of them. So
Mine's
again,
a bit dark for this, Jan, so I'm going to forego this
that's
section.
okay. Like I said to you, Joe, there's no right or wrong with it. It's like whatever suits your design, your choices of paper. So again, just to bring out that detail nice and lightly. So I would always tap off any excess ink first, because the minute it's gone on there as a splodge, it's really hard to get rid of it then.
Someone, Caroline was asking for a reminder of the measurements on the bits we did on the cut and emboss folder. They're 8.5 by 3.5. No, 8.25, sorry, by 3.5. The panels we cut and emboss, weren't they, Jan?
Yes.
That's what mine measures anyway, so I hope they are. Also, Jan, thank you for sharing the finished project throughout the craft along. It definitely helps to see where each step is going as we go along. So thank you for that.
I think it's
Deborah,
nice, yeah.
Deborah says so many great tips in this show. So thank you, Jan.
So again, just be, as I say, mindful that those petals on this one, if you're using the flowers, are loose. So again, I'm sort of going in the direction of the petals rather than going round and round in a circle there. So again, just add that detail. And again, if I show you them side by side, not that one, that one, you can see this looks quite plain, where this has got a bit more character. As I say, if you're not keen on it, then it's an optional, you know, aspect to it. It doesn't make, it's not the end of the world if you don't ink it, or if you haven't got a suitable ink that's the right colour. So again, just follow those petals round. And now I'm just picking up the little bits of ink that are left on the mat here is sufficient to just finish that last one off there, just to add that little bit of detail over the embossing. And just bring it right down to the bottom there. And I think at that point, we'll let everybody catch up again, shall we? So we'll get everybody so that you've got all those inked at the ready, and then we'll catch up again when you're all sorted. Yeah.
Fabulous. Judging by the comments, I mean, it seems to... Oh, hang on. Whoa.
Oh, it's time.
It's time. It's time for a craft countdown. Not any old craft countdown. No, a Black Friday craft countdown. 20 minutes on the clock. So much excitement that John came into the studio. He's very excited. Wanted to know what was happening, didn't he? Very, very nosy. What you've got, of course, 20-minute clock there on the screen. It means that we're going to offer you some products, but you've only got 19 minutes and 44 seconds to get hold of them. So you've got to be fast. When you see them, you need to grab them. Right, let's start off with the first ones. Oh yeah, some illustrators for you. These are incredible. They are kind of the top of the tree when it comes to our amazing alcohol markers. They've got beautiful, soft Japanese brush nibs on them. This is the sketching selection you're going to get here. You've got the fine nib on the other end, and then here you've got daffodil, canary, yellow, green, salad, pearl blue, denim, lilac, hydrangea, baby pink, fruit pink, pale tan, and the apricot as well. 25% saving on there. $14.99, $26.97 if you are a Club Inspire Platinum member. You've only got 19 minutes though to get hold of them. Now, the garden parties we're going to look at next. The Dainty Lace Stamp and Die is this one just here. A half price deal for you. How fantastic is that? And these are super cute. These corners that you've got in there, really handy. And you've got those beautiful, they almost look like cornices, don't they? Is that what they're called? When they're on your ceiling. Are they a cornice? Yeah, that's the right word. Don't sound so surprised, Charlotte. $7.49.
It's called, I've got one on my ceiling.
Have you?
A cornice to me is something that goes in a corner. What are they called? Did we give me the D?
18 minutes and 19 seconds to get hold of these. We've got flower fairies on on the show for you. These ones just here. So take a look. This is the jasmine one that you've got just here. Absolutely gorgeous. Loads you can do with these. Lots of different ways to put them together. You get all the dies and all of the stamps as well. And a 40% saving there on that one, which is absolutely awesome. Make sure you grab that. Do you want some fabulous acetate? Yeah, of course you do. This one here is your watercolour Christmas acetate pack. Now you get 12 sheets in here. I'm going to show you what you get. So you get the acetate, you get it in the Snow Flurry and also in the snowflake as well, as you can see there. And then you get the same again, but in the foiling, shiny, absolutely gorgeous. So 12 sheets, 4 designs, 4 of each in that particular one there. A 540% saving. Wowzers, trousers. I thought there might be a small typo there. It is a 40% saving for you.
Paying you to buy them?
It is a small typo there. 40% off of that one is what you've got. And then also finally, we have got some foil for you. If you managed to get that amazing foil press deal yesterday, you may want to go for this brilliant foil that we've got for you. 35% off, £2.59 or £3.21. That is your crafty countdown. We'll leave the clock on the screen. You've only got until 16 minutes even, and 43 seconds to grab a hold of those. So make sure you grab them. Right, a little bit of history for you from Rachel. She says the term cornice is derived from the Italian for ledge and is generally used to describe any horizontal decorative moulding. So it's almost like the picture rail. It's the bit you hang pictures on. That's a cornice. As well as a decorative function, cornices often also fulfil a practical role, covering structural joints and creating a decorative transition between the wall and the ceiling. There we go. It's not a cornice we were thinking of. It's something else.
No, it's a ceiling rose.
Rose. That was what I was going to use.
That's the one. Yeah, it came to me. In the middle of the countdown, of course.
Any other 16 minutes you've got? Any other questions? Please do get them in to us as we go through this craft along, and I'll pop them across to Jan for you.
Right. Okie dokie. So we've got those pieces inked now. Now, depending on which folders you've used, really you want one that's got an aperture in it. So this is where the vellum's going to come in to actually go behind here. So obviously if I popped it behind this one, yes, you're going to see it when we lift the flower petals, but not in total. All right, so if you've used one that's got a cutaway aperture, the vellum was going to look nicest behind those two pieces. So I'm going to flip again to the PVA glue this time, the tacky glue, and I'm going to put the glue on the back of my paper piece rather than on the vellum, because obviously I need to know where those apertures are. So again, I'm just going to take a strip all the way around the outside. So again, I like to use that fine tip applicator. I find it easy to control how much glue comes out. And then again, all the way around that outside edge to start off with. And then have a look where your apertures are, depending on which one you've chosen. And you want to make sure that you've got a bead of glue around each part of that aperture so that it's going to stick down nicely. So I'm literally sort of framing the hearts on mine with the glue to make sure that all those edges... I might have gone a bit heavy-handed with the glue, Jan. Pardon? I think I might have gone a bit heavy-handed with the glue. Just use your finger and tap it out, Joe, if you've got too much on. And then I think I popped you some wipes over there if you get all sticky. Oh yeah, I've got the wipes. Yeah, so I'm literally just making sure that all those edges that are going to make contact with the vellum, I've got some glue. I've got a little bit of a blockage there. There we go. Just use the pin. So yeah, they've all got glue. So all those open edges have got some glue around the edge to make sure that it's going to seal. Okay. Now, if you were wanting to make shaker elements at this point, we're not using shakers today, but if you decided you wanted to do a shaker element, you'd put your acetate on the back of here now, then you tape and then add it to either a paper or the vellum. So again, I'm going to leave that one face down now, and then I'm going to invert my vellum. So I've literally turned it over so that the nice pretty side is going to show through. And it's just a fraction smaller than your piece that we put together. So pop it over the top. I've got a little bit of glue higher up than I need it. So again, it'll just wipe away there. Okay. And it should just fit nicely inside. And then once everything's stuck down, turn it over and make sure that all those edges have made contact with your vellum. And then you've got that lovely piece there with that sort of translucent little windows in there. Okay. And then we'll leave that one to dry, and I'm going to do exactly the same with the second one. So make sure that that's all set, and then again we're going to go onto the back of this one. So I always go around the edge first to make sure that I've got all 4 edges. And then, as I say, just sort of outline each one of those apertures so that we've got a nice seal on it all. So I'm just following the edge of the hearts in my case.
Sorry, Jan, I've gone very quiet at this point.
I was just thinking, I've not known you this quiet, Joe. We've got you concentrating
Honestly,
now.
Debbie Fisher said this the other day. Just give him something to do and you shut him up. It's brilliant.
Quiet is not a word that I would use to describe our Joe.
Did you not?
No.
Shy, retiring, wallflower?
No, definitely not.
No, okay. Fair enough.
So again, all those areas that are separate there, I've just added a little bit of extra glue to make sure that we get a nice seal. Just make sure I've got all those edges and then lay it down flat. Turn your vellum over so that your pretty sides face down. And then again, you can just cover that whole piece there and make sure it's nice and flat. Okay, so because the paper was 8 1/4 and the vellum came from a pad that was 8, it is slightly shorter at top and bottom, but obviously nobody's going to see this. This is on the reverse. So again, once you've got it flat, make sure that all those elements are stuck down nicely. If there is any glue come through, it should rub away. And then you've got your 2 panels at the ready. Now, I'm not going to bother with anything behind the flower ones because I'm happy when the petals lift up to just see the craft card through those 2. So we're pretty certain we've got pretty much ready to actually start mounting those together. So I'll just let everybody finish that off, Joe, make sure that they're all nice and flat. And then the next step is to begin the construction of the actual card.
Fabulous. We'll give you a moment there then to get yourselves all caught up. Mary Rhino says, oh, I love that garden party deal. It's so pretty. Let me recap then the deal for you on the cut and emboss folders, because remember, if you're watching this as it goes along, I think, oh gosh, I'd really love to give this a go, then absolutely you can, because these are available for you to purchase right now. As soon as they arrive home, you'll be able to come back and watch this craft along back anytime you like, which is brilliant. I now sit, only 10 minutes and 20 seconds left on that craft along. You will need to be quick for that as well. So let me just recap what's in here. So you're going to get 6 designs. You're paying for 4. We're sending you 6. You've got the butterflies. This is your flourishing flowers. You will also receive the interlocking circles. You've got the entwined hearts. This one here is your spring blooms. And you will also receive the interlocking squares as well. They are the 6 designs that you will get. $59.96 or $67.80. That becomes $47.97 or $54.24 as a platinum member. There are a different set as well for you, which we actually did, and a different craft. We actually did a craft along on these as well. So maybe you want to go for these ones and those ones. There's 3 of them available for you, which is fantastic. Really gorgeous ones. So you've got your happy hearts, which are these ones just here. You'll also get the square chevrons in there, and you've got the pretty polka dots there as well. So another option for you if you really love that sort of style and shape of these. 9 minutes and 22 seconds. If you want the illustrators, we're absolutely flying out these. If these are in your basket, absolutely, you should think about checking these out sooner rather than later. A quarter off of these for you. What is it about these that makes them so special, Jan?
These are artist quality, Joe. So even, I'm not an artist. I don't profess to be an artist, but they give you that finished artist look. So easy to use. That brush nib allows you to do extra techniques like that. You'll have seen our Leanne with that flicking where she does hair, she does fur on the animals. It looks stunning. They're really beautiful to use. And a great colour palette in that choice, Joe. Again, it's a nice, if you're just starting out your colouring journey, it's a nice set to sort of dip into, to try them. How about, if you've got a secret Santa gift to get, can you just imagine a crafty friend receiving something like that as a secret Santa gift?
I almost gave away who my secret Santa was then for a second.
Do you know, Ben tried to fool me the other day. We had this conversation the other day and he led into it and he's like, and I nearly did it, like you said, nearly, and I thought, nearly got me then. So I'm not giving away any secrets.
We shall see. At 1874, 3371, if you want to get those with a 25% saving. 8 minutes left on that crafty countdown, so do be fast for that. Right, Jan, what's next?
Right, so we're going to start assembling the whole thing then. So if I come back to that master sample there, you can see we've got our panels that are going to fit on here. And then when you flip that over, you're actually going to have that space here that's still craft card, which is where we're going to pop the panels that we've die cut. and then all 4 sides are exactly the same. And the bit that we're going to stick it to now is that piece that we made the little cube from. So this is integral now to all of it. So again, press it flat. All right, and it doesn't matter really which side you start on. I'm right-handed, so I tend to work with my panel to the left-hand side here, like so. Joe, you might find it easier to work the opposite way, and all it will mean is that your panels are on the other side. It won't look any different other than that it'll be left to right, right to left. So however you want to do it, it doesn't really make any difference whether you pop it here and that you have that panel left on this side, or whether you pop it this way and you'll have the panel left on the other side. All right, so again, I'm going to go with, choices. Let me have a think.
Are you going to go my arch nemesis?
Which is your arch nemesis? No.
Excellent.
No, I'm not going to go. I'm just thinking, do we go, it's going to be a choice of these 3. And to be honest, you'll not go wrong with any of them.
Okay, I'm going to go
If
tape
you want
pen,
to use tape pen, that will do the job, nice and strong. The collal glue will set nice and firm. All right, I think I'm going to stick with my tacky glue, all right? So again, any of those 3 will do the job. Now, what I want to do is just put glue on one of those columns. So that 1.5 inch width up to the score line, we're just going to put glue, whichever one you chose. In fact, I think I am going to use the tape pen, Joe. It might be a little bit quicker. All right, so double-sided tape pen, and literally you just want it, take it nice and steady, as close to the edge as you can get, and as close to the score line as you can get without going over that score line edge. And I'm going to cover the whole thing, because obviously there's an element of movement in this card. So I've literally got glue, you can just see where it's shimmering there, on all that piece. Keep it upright, take your panel, make sure that this is the right way up, and then I'm going to line this up, top and bottom, with that outside edge.
Just a bit of housekeeping, Joe. We're having some issues with the prices dropping on some of the craft countdown items. Some of them have not dropped, apparently.
Oh, right.
So they're fixing them now. We'll let you know when it's fixed, but we're going to let it run until the end of the hour, so don't worry about it. I know some of you are struggling to get those organised and checked out, so don't worry, we're going to keep it going for you.
And then I'm just using my bone folder to press, now I've got that in place, and literally press and make sure that there's a really good seal between that tape. And I've got that nice flush edge here. And then when I flip it over, we've just got enough. We're not going to stick these on
I'm having
yet.
a bit of trouble here, Jan. So when I'm putting them together, so this one here is like this, right? That is my first panel. It's on there. They're all going to be the same way, aren't they? So that one's going to go there.
It's off.
Is that right?
It's off.
I'm just looking at it, I'm just thinking
I'm
it's
going
wrong.
to show you now.
Oh, but I just thought that one was on wrong for some reason.
No, you're okay.
Is it right?
What I want you to do when you've got that one stuck, so keep the box folded underneath so that this edge is flush, Joe.
So that edge flush like that.
And then I want you to flip the whole thing over.
The whole thing over.
Yep. Now I'm going to
Johnny
take my
distracting me, you see.
corresponding piece. So I've got the bit that's still got the letters on here, that was the other half of my pattern paper. And I'm now going to put tape again just on that first 1.5 inches. So the one on my left-hand side. Yours is yours going to be on the right-hand side, Joe, I think?
This one here, I think,
Are you working the other way round, yeah? So mine's actually going to go like this. So I'll have a strip of the craft card showing, and I'll have it stuck to the left-hand column.
So it then becomes the opposite page, is that what we're looking for?
Yes, yes.
Excellent,
Perfect.
got it.
So again, I'm going to pop that line of tape right up to the edge, as close as I can get it to the edge without going off the edge of it, and as close to that score line without going over the score line. And then I'm also filling in the gap in the middle. So again, make sure it's upright. Make sure that this paper's the right way up underneath. Make sure that this paper's in the right orientation. And I'm working this way, so mine's going to go up to that left-hand edge again. Joe, I think you're working the opposite way so that yours is going up to the right-hand edge. Now, when you pop these together, I'm using my, if you've got a craft glass mat here, I'm using the lines across here to make sure that this is all nice and straight top and bottom. And then once you're secure in place, what have you done?
We've got a bit of an issue, Jan.
It should peel off if you've used the tape pen, Joe, if you're careful. And I'll show you what it should look like. All right, so if we've done it right, you should end up with like this, like a Z. So I've got one on this side. Stuck it on the wrong side, here,
Jan, didn't I?
And one on this side. So you've got one piece stuck out this way and one piece stuck out the opposite way. So that's what we're aiming for with those first two panels. Okay.
Johnny took full responsibility for me getting it wrong there, Jan. He's giving me a lot of information.
Like I say, I'm just crafting
and
over
we were
here,
meant
Joe.
to be, we were meant to be, you know, proving that I can multitask, Jan. And I feel like we maybe have.
But honestly, it's not easy. You know, as I say, I'm just crafting over here.
Just got
and
the
you're
ends
doing
mixed up.
both. There you go. Look, it's all fixable.
Fabulous.
Yep, fabulous. All right. So we've got those two. So what we're going to do then is open this out to reveal that other piece of the inside column. So all I've done is taken one of my panels and just literally pulled it to reveal that other piece there. So now we need glue on that one. So again, I'm going to stay with the glue tape pen, run it down as close as you can get it without going over the edge of this panel, and as close to that fold line without getting it on this left-hand panel. And if you're using a wet glue, pop it all over here, because obviously when this is moved in and out, you want to make sure that it's all sealed. And then take one of your others. Make sure that all the orientation's the right way again. So this one's the right way up, this one. And I'm still working on that left-hand edge. So mine's going on like so, up to that edge piece, and it's going to lay over the top of the one underneath. You can still see that strip of the one underneath. Again, make sure that you're lined up at the top and bottom and everything's nice and straight. And then once you're committed to it, just give it a nice press down to make sure all that glue's made contact with your cardstock. Okay. And it's just bugging me that there's a little corner there that's not stuck down. So I'm just going to pop a bit of glue under there while we're there and stick that down so that it doesn't get caught. I just want to keep that. That's it. And then once you've done that, we're going to flip the whole thing over, keeping that orientation the right way, and it should expose that last column that we've got left. So same again, we're going to pop that glue right up to that edge of there without catching the craft card, right up to this edge, try not to catch the craft card on here, and then literally fill the gap in either with your wet glue or with that tape runner. And then last one, again, make sure that everything's the right way up. And I'm going up to that left-hand side, and I'm just making sure that the top and bottom edge is all flush along here and along here before I actually commit to pressing that down and sealing it. So that's actually the construction of the main pinwheel. And then we're going to add our side panels. So just give everything a nice burnish, make sure it's all stuck down, and then when we stand it up, you should have those 4 sections are like wings. Okay, look at that. Fantastic. I love the papers, Joe, they look lovely. Yep.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yep. So, are we good there to continue, or do we want a little break to let everybody?
Yeah, let's take a very quick break. It's very, very busy, Jan, at the moment on that flash deal that we've got for you on
I'm
our
not
Gemini.
surprised. We very rarely have these kind
rare.
of offers on the machines, do we?
We will often sometimes, well not often, but occasionally we do deals on a Gemini. We might bundle it with some extra dies or some extra embossing folders, some extra bits and bobs for you. If it's just the machine on its own, you've got everything else that you need in your stash, then this is kind of the deals that you want to go for. And it's very, very rare that we bring them to you where it's a machine only deal. Even rarer where it's 25% off. So it's available for you on our original Gemini, the Gemini Pro, the Gemini Junior, the Gemini Midi and the Gemini Mini all have this amazing discount on them at the moment. If you are fairly new to us though and you're thinking, Gemini, what's that all about? Let's take a moment to share with you all the incredible features of the original Gemini die cutting machine.
This is Gemini, one of the fastest, quietest electronic die cutting and embossing machines on the market. Its industry-leading high-pressure system delivers fantastic results from intricate dies and folders, all at the touch of a button. Its oversized opening and platforms provide for edge-to-edge cutting of US letter and A4 size with thin metal dies, allowing you to cut materials such as thin cardstock, vinyl, craft metal and fabric. No cranking needed, as it will move the plates through automatically and quickly, which means you may spend less time on preparation and more time on inspiration. The Gemini has optical switches, making it hands-free and fully automated, with a built-in auto-reverse function for protection. It's easy to use, so you're always in control. Its sleek, low-profile design makes it a superb addition to any craft workspace. It has built-in handholds, meaning you can easily take it anywhere. The Gemini is a universal die-cutting and embossing machine that works with the majority of all leading brands of thin metal dies and embossing folders. All of the platforms that you need come included in the box, as well as a thick rubber embossing mat for intricate detail work on your dual-purpose cut and embossed dies. The addition of the metal cutting plate allows you to cut intricate dies in a single pass through the machine and enables you to cut multiple layers of fabric. For a perfect cut every time, you need Gemini, the electronic die cutting and embossing machine made by crafters for crafters.
All the details of incredible Gemini. Do not miss out on that amazing flash sale. 25% across all the Geminis we have in stock. So that being the Pro, the original Gemini, the Junior, the Midi and the Midi. Very, very busy. The thing is though, yes, it might be a time-limited offer, but Simon upstairs, he's not going to let us have the whole stock of our Geminis at that deal. We've ring-fenced a certain amount of stock to bring it to you for that Black Friday promotion, but it's not an endless amount. We're not just going to keep selling it. So if you do want one, today needs to be the day, I would say. It's a flash sale, so make sure you are grabbing it today. Lots of you saying that you've been waiting for a deal on the Geminis and you are treating yourself today. A lot of people upgrading, I think, from the Junior to the bigger machine, and a lot of you going for the Midi as well. Right, Jan, if you are ready, Stephanie says, is this called a pinwheel card, Jan?
Yes, a pinwheel tower. So it creates that effect in the top there of your pinwheel. And then we've just called it a pinwheel tower because obviously you've got the height in it. It's taller than an average card, yeah.
Fabulous.
So what we're going to do now, we're going to work on the panels that we've die cut. These are just now the right size to leave a nice little border in that gap. Now what I did with mine, just to be sure, because and this is my OCD kicking in, it's not necessary, but I actually used a little bit of red line tape just along the top to make sure that there was no movement here. So I've literally used it over the top of the vellum and onto the card there, the paper. And as I say, it's just me being a little bit OCD to make sure. I didn't want any issues with that because the vellum wasn't quite as long as the piece of card. It's almost like sealing it on the inside.
I said I wasn't going to do this, Jan, but I'm challenging myself. Me and red liner tape.
Right, well again, I'll give you any tips that I've got for it. So it's just on the piece that you've done, just on the two that you've put the vellum on. The other one's fine because that's literally just the paper, but it's just me, as I say, when you've gone to the trouble of making something like this that's got a kinetic element to it, people are naturally going to want to move it about. That's the whole idea of doing something like this. So you want to make sure that all those pieces are stuck down nicely. So with your red line tape, the secret behind it is to burnish that liner. So you want, even if you use your burnishing tool, you want to make sure that all the air bubbles have gone from underneath that red line. All right, so underneath that liner, just either use your thumb, finger, or as I say, your burnishing tool, and just give it a really good burnish so that all the air bubbles have disappeared. And then I use my pokey tool when we come to actually put it together. All right, so I literally just slide it underneath the edge and you should be able to pull this liner away nice and straightforward. So I'm going to pop one to one side.
Oh, Jan, that was much better.
It's sort of pressure sensitive, the liner. So again, as long as you've pressed it down and got rid of all that air, it should sort of come off quite easily. And then I'm going to go back to the tacky glue. Now with this one, I only need to put the glue where my paper panel is. So you can see as I hold this, I've got those apertures where the vellum is. I don't want any glue in those apertures. So we're almost tracing that design like we did at the first one, round the edge here. I've got my tape top and bottom, so I don't need to worry about that. And then I'm just going to pop some in those areas that I know have got, so just tilt it so that you can see through, and pop your glue in those areas that have got the paper behind it. You can go around some of those elements of the hearts if you wish. Yeah, just make sure that it's in those areas that you're not going to see. You don't want glue in those little window areas where we've got the apertures. And then again, it doesn't matter which ones you go with. I'll follow my original design, and I had the hearts against that open book. So again, once you're ready, be mindful that you've got red line tape top and bottom.
Have you put glue over the red line as well?
No.
Okay.
No. But just be mindful of that red line because it will try and grab your cardstock. So just hover it over the top, and you should just have that same 1/8 of an inch border all the way round. And then again, once you're happy with that, give everything a good press where you know you've put the glue.
Sounds like there's a storm brewing out there, Jan.
So just squidge all that glue out underneath. Make sure it's made contact with the cardstock. And we've got that piece in place there now against that side.
Fabulous.
And then opposites attract. So again, flip the whole thing over, and we're going to do exactly the same with our hearts so that these are on opposite sides. If you look at my sample again here, when we bring it up, we've got hearts, then flowers, then hearts, and then flowers. All right, so whatever
Jan,
you've chosen.
It's snowing.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Only a little bit.
I've got to drive home later.
Oh, you can stay at the house with me, Jan.
Oh. So again, I'm going to take that red line off. Just slide. That pokey tool is great for releasing that. And then again, the same with the glue. You can see through this. So again, I always do the edges first. Again, no right or wrong. This is just how I operate. It's just sort of like systematic. And again, a lot of it's the OCD that I have to do it in a certain order. And then I'm just looking through from there. I can see where those apertures are. Pop the glue behind the bits that aren't apertures. And then we can pop this one. And again, just hover over so that that tape doesn't grab straight away. Hover it over the top, and you're looking for that little 1/8 of an inch border again. And these should line up with your mats and layers on the other side, here and here, because we've cut those the same height. And then once you're happy, again, make sure all that glue underneath all those areas is nice and squidged out. Seal it at the bottom. So we've got our two opposite sides actually completed there with the panels.
Gorgeous.
And then literally open it as if you're opening a book, and it'll lay flat the other way and expose those other two panels. So again, this one, depending on which one you've used, I don't want to put glue behind the flower petals. So I'm just going to lift these slightly to make sure that they're out of the way, because I only want glue on the back of the rest of the piece of card. If you glue the petals down, there'd be no point in cutting them out in the first place. So just lift them forward for now so that they're out of the way. If you've chosen a different one, again, you just want glue on the backing piece that's going to make contact with your card. So again, Jan has to do it systematically. So we're going to go all the way around the edge. Make sure we've got that glue on there. And then I'm going to fill in some of the gaps, but I'm not going where the petals are. So just make sure that you've got a nice sort of spaces of glue around the flowers or the butterflies or whichever one you've chosen. And don't forget when you've done these, guys, to send us some photos in. I know a lot of you post the photos on the on my wall, and I love it. I love to see, especially if you've chosen different papers. They look lovely. And I'm just going to put, because the centre of the flower is going to make contact with the card, I've just put a little bit of glue in the centre of each flower. And then again, make sure everything's the right way up. Just hover it over the top again, and you should have that same 1/8 of an inch border as what we had. Now just be careful with this one because of those petals, but make sure again it's all stuck where you've popped the glue in. So down the edges there, across the bottom, and then all round those pieces in the middle there. Now the flowers are going to press flat again when we close this the other way, so just pop them down. As long as you've not got glue underneath them, they'll be fine. And then when we've done that, we're going to flip completely over again, and we should have that last panel to do the same with my last die cut piece there. So again, just make sure everything's the right way up. Again, I'm just going to lift those little petals out of the way to make sure I don't get any glue on them. And it's worth doing because I've gone before and crazy with the glue and oh, flipping heck, I don't need to glue that bit down. So just by lifting them up reminds you that you don't actually need.
I thought rather than having them on the opposite pages, it might be nice to have like them on the pages next to each other, Jan. So
I love this, Joe, honestly.
I didn't, I made a mistake.
No, but this is not a mistake, Joe. This is what I try and get across to people. You know, there is no right and wrong with this. I can teach you the construction and I can choose items that I find appealing, you know, and you all know that pink's my favourite. I find it hard to step away from the pink. I do force myself sometimes to use other colours, but it's mainly the idea of the construction. And you know, when you're teaching, and we always used to say this when Debs and I worked at the store, and we did a lot of teaching at the store when the education areas were open. And we used to say that one of the nicest things about teaching the classes was seeing all the different variations. You've basically given the same instructions to everybody, but just by using different colours, different papers, different cardstock, different layout, different embellishments, they all look so different. And that, to me, is part of the teaching aspect of it. I once remember doing a class when we, who remembers the horoscope dies? I absolutely love those.
Oh, I don't
and I
remember
once
those.
remember teaching a class with those, and we did an inked background for the dice to sort of be like a silhouette on. And everybody had chosen different coloured inks, and I took a photograph of them when we were all finished, and they just looked like a rainbow of cards on the desk. It looked stunning, and yet we'd all had the same tuition. But it does make a difference as to how they fit. So that last panel is just going to fit on there, and just make sure again that all those contact points have made contact with your card underneath, so that there's no air bubbles in it where it will lift. All right, so our centres of the flowers are stuck down, all the edges are nice and neat, and now we've got that sort of flowers, hearts, flowers and hearts.
Or if you're Joe, you've got butterflies, circles. But I like it, you know.
That's all right. As I say, there's no right or wrong, Joe. Go with the flow. And don't get stressed, you know, if you're meant to do them opposites like mine and you ended up with them like Joe's, it's not wrong. Don't stress about it. Just go with it. Right, a couple of little bits of addition then. So we've also got some of the sparkle pens on the show, including our clear overlay. Joe, I forgot to pass you one of these. I've popped you one here if you want. I don't know whether your paper
clear overlay,
lends
lovely.
yourself to it, but I'm literally
We've
just
got these on the show, actually.
Yeah, and I'm going to take my ink back again, pop a little bit of ink on my mat there, and I'm going to use my clear overlay as a paintbrush. So where I've got this lovely spray of flowers, you can just see on my original one here, we've got some colour and a little bit of shimmer going on with those as well. And all I've done is just picked up the ink with my brush here and just added that little bit of extra detail. Now, don't get it too wet because you don't want that paper to sort of start bubbling away from the glue. They should be dry by now. That's why I've left this bit till the end. But you need the tiniest little bit of ink. And again, it's just bringing everything in that tones in nicely with the design. So just that little, just a touch of colour there. Now, I haven't brought the green ink with me. I did actually use a green one and did the same with the leaves. But I've not brought my green ink, so we'll just do the flowers, okay? You could actually do just the plain If you've got access to a green ink, you can see on this one I did add a little tiny bit of green on those leaves there. But because I've not got the green, I'm just going to do the leaves with that sparkle. So it just catches the light. It's just another little added sort of interest. And you can do this with any of your non-coated papers. Just pick out areas.
Well, I quite like this, Jan.
Yeah, and it just sort of adds another aspect to the paper. And then if you've used the heart one, if you have a look at your design, there are some plain hearts. Again, I don't know if you can pick it up on this one here. Just these little plain ones, I've added a bit of sparkle there, look, to those little plain hearts. Again, just to bring it in and add that little bit of detail. And because we inked it, it'll drag a little bit of the ink depending on how much ink you've got on there. And it just adds that extra little touch of colour and detail and sparkle on it. So again, they're all optional extras, these. It's just having a look at what you've got there and just it brings it all together, I think, just those last little bits. It dries relatively quickly as well because you're not putting masses on. And then flip it over and I'm just going to see whether there's any. So I've got one there. Is it on? And it's on that one as well, look. What was that?
That was me.
That was you.
Just having a little clean up.
So again, I've got a couple there that I'm just going to do the same with. So just that little tiny bit. And again, as I say, all optional. You might think, oh, she's faffing now. Don't have to do that bit. And again, as I say, it's entirely up to you whether you want, you may have got a coloured sparkle pen, that will tone in with your project. It doesn't have to be the clear one. I just thought I'd use the same ink as I've used around the edges. And you can see there.
Just a question from Jean.
Yeah.
She says, when I use tacky glue with vellum, it causes it to buckle. How can I avoid that happening?
Switch to your all-purpose.
Okie doke.
The reason tacky glue buckles is any PVA glue has got a water base. So the base of the glue is water. Now the water seeps into the fibres of the cards and that's what ruttles it. And it is really, really hard to get those out. I've tried, I've had it sat under my Gemini, I've had big books on top of it and you come down the next morning and it's still wrinkled because the damage is done. If you swap to the Kalal, or even the dotty tape pen works nicely on the back of vellum, I've found. Unless it's a plain vellum, if you've got one that's got a bit of a pattern in it, the little dotty tape pen works fine on the back of it and it doesn't show through. But this one, the all-purpose, is a solvent-based glue, no water involved. So the fact that that will seal it better gives you that sort of less wrinkling going on. So again, I've just added a little bit to those leaves in there. And as I say, it dries pretty much instantly. It doesn't take long because we're only adding a little bit there. And then I need my other section with the hearts. That one's done. That one. I'm just going to do those hearts. And then just to finish off, now then, Jo, you won't have these aspects. So we'll just have to carry on with mine.
Oh, I'll tell you what though, I could make my butterfly sparkly, couldn't I?
You could, yep.
I didn't think of that.
So I did pop on the list because I didn't know how long it would take to do this. This is the hardest part when you're preparing to sort of teach, is knowing how long it's going to take to get through it. I asked you guys to bring some ready-made embellishments this time and ready-made stamped sort of sentiments. So if you did that, great. If you didn't, I'll go through it and you can always add these afterwards. So I suggested that we had 2 sentiments. Now you can actually pop a sentiment on each page if you wish. But I literally just went for them on opposite sides. So I've got one on this side. And then I've got it on the opposite side. All right. And then I was looking for something that was suitable for the middles of the flowers. And I was trying to find circles that were small enough in different degrees of size. And I couldn't find any. But I came across some little cogs that I'd got in, little dies that I'd got in my stash that were cogs. And I just thought, just a quirky twist on the flower centres. And I've cut them out of gold satin mirror card, which is one of my favourite card stocks. And just thought that brought it all together. And here, I cut this one because I wanted the round centre here and then had it left, so why not incorporate it? So all I'm going to do then with these is I've got my 2 sentiments here. So we're going to go against the flower ones here. Oops, let's move the ink, Jan, otherwise we're going to get it all over the place. Let's just get rid of that bit of ink off there. All right. And what I've done with these is I've chosen a sentiment, and forgive me because I can't remember which set they were from. I think they were from 2 different sets. Just wanted something that was fairly generic rather than a fixed sort of occasion. So I've got time to celebrate, and especially for you. And the set that they came from had these little leaves in as extra embellishment. So I've literally just cut my piece of card, stamped my sentiment, and then just added a little bit. And then I've used the clear sparkle pen again, picked up the ink and coloured those little leaves in. And then I don't know whether you can just pick up the little tiny dots on there. There's some little tiny gold dots there as well. And those are just the paint, teeth in Jan, the metallic paint pens that we had on earlier that are coming up on Colour Me Happy later. So just to tie in the gold that we're using, and literally we're going to pop these on here. And then I've got my extra pieces at the ready. We've got a couple of little flower centres, and then I've got some of the cogs cut. Because as I said, I wasn't sure how long we'd have left to start die cutting all these separate pieces. So what I did then was 2 of each cog for the flower centres. And then as I say, I had this big one left that I'd cut the circle from.
Those butterflies are much happier now they're sparkly. They've just let me know, Jan.
Have they?
Yeah.
Oh, I think butterflies lend themselves to sparkle, don't they? So again, I've chopped that in half, so I've got 1 for each side. And I do apologise. Don't do this if the glue irritates your skin. But I tend to pop, if it's a really fine piece like this, little bit on here, and then pop my die cut into it. And then I'm just going to pop this as if it's peeking out from underneath. And then add a bit of glue to the back here. And that's going to be my sentiment on one side there. And then I'm going to use the cogs so I'm going to put a little bit of the wet glue in the centre of each one there. And then I've literally got one of the round dots to go in the small flower. I've got one of those in the large one. She's put a blob of glue when it needed to be just make sure that it fits round the embellishment rather than the space. There we go, look. And then I've got some of those little ones again. I'm going to pick the glue up from there. Oops. If you've got the little sticker maker, you could run these through and pop them, make them sticky that way. So again, I put my glue in the middle when actually it wanted to be round the edge there. So again, pop that one on there. And you can just see how they're sort of given that quirky finish to the flowers. And then again, over to the other side, and I'm going to do the same again on that second side. So again, just refresh my glue there. Pop this one in to pick up a bit of glue. And then we're going to have this one sort of the opposite way. So that one's going to go underneath like so. This one's going to go.
They're so handy, those little glue applicator bottles, aren't they?
The what, sorry?
The bottles, the applicator
Do you know,
bottles.
I wouldn't be without it, Joe, because I do find, as much as I love the tacky glue, I do find it comes out of the large bottle quite quick, and I end up with more glue than what I need. And that's why I like to decant it, and it's easy enough to do. You can take the tops off this bottle, decant it in, pop them back together, and I just keep this one to refill it. So each time it gets low, usually before I come and do another session with you guys, is just fill it up so that I've got it ready to go again. So again, I'm just going to pop some glue onto these ones, so we've got one going just to match like I did on the other side. That one can have the glue in the middle there, which was the little dot, and then I've just got those left. Just see if I've got some left on there. As I said, don't put the glue on your skin if it irritates you. I don't want you to end up getting all itchy. And then this one, Should just have enough left there to get that one stuck down. And then so that the hearts weren't left out, and just to keep that gold running through as a theme, again, you've all got heart dies in that stash there. So I've just got a couple of small ones, one for each panel. And again, I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue and put this in the centre so that there's a bit of gold running through this page as well as the others. And again, flip that one over, whoops. And then we've got that last piece. And I'm hoping that everybody's managed to follow the instructions.
I think they have. If you, as you come to the end of your craft along as well, make sure you take a picture of it and photo of it. I've always said a picture, Jan, and it turns out that's incorrect.
A photo?
Picture can't be a photo, but a photo, no, hang on. A photo can be a picture. Oh, I can't even remember, I've confused myself now. It's a photo, essentially, not a picture. I always say send us your pictures, but it's not, it should be send us your photos.
So I suppose a picture's something that's drawn, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we're done then, you can see if we stand it up, we've got that lovely pinwheel, and then you've got all that nice detail. If you want to have a look at that from the front there, you can see we've got the flowers, and we've got the hearts again, and the whole thing will fold down flat if you do want to pop this. As I say, you would have to make an envelope for it to fit in. Something like this, I'd probably make a nice little box and pop some tissue in it just to make a gift for it. So let's have a look then, Joe. Did you?
Yeah, mine's finished. It looks gorgeous. I'm really, really happy with it.
Yeah.
If you can see here, it's really fantastic.
I love those navy and pink
I just
papers.
love the way it like moves around as well.
Look at
Love
that.
it.
Well done, Mr. Remblance. I'm
So
very proud
happy.
of you.
Very, very pleased with that, Jan.
And like
think that
I
went
say,
swimmingly.
even though you're getting that sort of effect with it, it's not difficult. When we break it down into steps, it's not difficult to actually put together.
Oh, I mean, if I can do it, Jan, let's face it.
I wasn't
Anyone
meaning
can
that.
do it. Anyone could do it. Well, I mean, it's the truth. Yeah, absolutely. If you have seen this craft along and you thought to yourself, gosh, I'd really love to give it a go. I don't have these cut and emboss folders. It's not too late. You can grab these now. You'll always be able to come back and watch this craft along by any time you like, which is fantastic. So we've got 6 in this collection for you. So let me take you through the designs that you're going to receive. You're going to get your Butterfly Delight, which is that one there. You've also got your Flourishing Flowers. This here is your Interlocking Circles. You've got the Entwined Hearts. That's your Spring Blooms. And you've also got your interlocking squares as well. Now there is a previous collection to that as well, which is also very busy, which are these ones just here. They're both sort of along the same vein when it comes to size and style. This 3-piece collection contains your Happy Hearts, your square chevrons, and then also your pretty polka dots as well. $29.98 or $33.90 to grab a hold of those ones. I do believe Jan's got some other ideas of things we can do with these.
Yeah, it's just using them along with things that you've got in your stash. So if you like making those inked backgrounds, you know, I'm always talking about if your mojo's disappeared, make some backgrounds, keep them in a box. This is a perfect way to use them. And again, that butterfly one's got those lovely lift up wings. So we've just put some glitter card behind here. You know, it may be that you want to put that coloured layer underneath and have the glitter card for the butterflies, whichever way you prefer it, but really, really stunning. Then you've got those beautiful flowers that we used in that sample, but this one's just had extra pieces cut. So rather than cutting the whole thing again, just pop your cardstock over where those apertures are, and just by cutting extra layers, we've got the fullness of that flower in there. Looks gorgeous. We've got those beautiful hearts. You know, if you're not into inking, just pop some pattern paper behind there. We use the vellum today. That one's got a nice sheet of pattern paper behind it. Highlights on those little hearts there again. Perfect for making those shaker designs. You can see there that just by putting acetate behind those apertures and adding your shaker pieces in there, absolutely beautiful. And then again, you've got that lovely retro circle one there as well, using the inks. Love that spotty paper. That's from that rainbow pad behind there, which peeks through the apertures. And then this one, I love this. I think this is a stunning combination of colours. So done on black card this time with some gilding wax. We've added the pens on the leaves there. Leaves? And then just by die cutting again, as I say, just pop scraps over where those flowers are rather than doing a whole sheet and layering them up. I think that colour combination on there. So this was Nicola that's done this one. Absolutely fabulous, Nicola. I love it. Okay,
Really gorgeous.
and then we've also got that other set, which were the original launch. I think I launched these actually back, like I said, in October. And we've got 3 sets of these, and again, beautiful. So these have actually got a more open aperture, a definite aperture in here. Again, perfect for those shakers. So this is the square chevrons. And again, we've put the acetate in there. We've got shaker pieces. We've all got little stamped images in there as well. I know it's already gone by now, but look how effective with the Halloween design in there. And then again, you know, mixing and matching with things you've got in your stash. You'll recognise that as our chinoiserie collection. Left those apertures open there at the end. So that was the square chevrons. We've also got the polka dots with the circle aperture. Again, look at those cheeky little characters in there. So we've got that one. We've got the little snowmen. Oops, right way up, standing on the head. And then you've got that lovely heart with just a new baby.
Beautiful.
And then finally, just a couple with those hearts in again. That shaker element being really popular with these. And then, you know, if you want to go the whole hog, using one on each side to make those beautiful gatefold. Really, really nice, versatile style to use, and so many different ways to use them as well, Joe.
Yeah, really fantastic, aren't they? Brilliant that they give you all that detailed embossing and also the cut in for you as well. A lot of love for your creation. Kathy says this beautiful card. Adriana saying great job. She says great job, Joe. Thanks, Adriana. Mary Reno saying the yellow and blue butterfly card is gorgeous. And Mary was saying they love the navy and silver card as well. Right, let's move on. I want to again just remind you of that incredible flash sale that we've got for Black Friday on our Gemini machines. They are all available for you. All the ones we have in stock are there with a 25% discount. It's very rare that we do a machine-only discount, even rarer that you will get a discount anywhere near as deep as this. We wanted to do something really special for Black Friday, and you guys are absolutely loving it. That's the regular size Gemini machine for you. A brilliant saving of £45 or $62. You're obviously going to be able to use your Club Inspired discount on top of that as well. The Junior, amazing price here with the Junior. Platinum members, £84 or $120 to pick that up, which is fantastic value for money. If you've been thinking about maybe a second machine, then this could be great for that. The one that I always use when we do these craft alongs is this next one here, the MIDI. I think it's fantastic. And look at the platinum pricing here, under £42 or $54 to grab that today. It's a 6x9 platform. Great if you love crafting on the go, that one. And we also have the Gemini Mini available for you as well, which is this one just here. $22.49 or $33.71, again with a 25% saving. The biggest saving though, of course, is on the Gemini Pro. It's quite amazing because you are saving £180 as a platinum member compared to the regular retail price. You're saying $200 compared to the retail price as a platinum member in the US. Incredible value there. I think a lot of you maybe been waiting for a great deal on the Pro. Maybe today is going to be the day. It is the absolute big daddy when it comes to our Gemini family. Another fabulous show on the way later. Colour Me Happy with myself and yourself. That didn't work itself. With Jan and I, myself and Jan. What can we expect from that later show, Jan?
Oh, lots of inky goodness, lots of coloury goodness, everything metallic. So we've got ink pads, we've got markers, we've got those fabulous flip pens, the outline pens, the metallic inks. So we're going to have a look at lots of different, mainly techniques rather than card building, I think, in that show. So lots of techniques to show you, finished examples to show you. But yeah, lots of inky fun. I will probably not be very clean by the end of it. I've managed to stay cleaner so far today, Joe. But yeah, by the time we've done with the inks, don't think so.
Maybe not. It's going to be a fantastic show. Make sure you join us for that. Don't forget there's a whole host of Black Friday deals available to you over on the website. Up to 70% off selected items, which is amazing. And also remember that daily deal that we have every single day. It's a brilliant deal over there for the classic markers, which was today, along with the storage. Yesterday's day, the daily deals stay on the website if they are still in stock. There is still a very small amount of the foil press from yesterday. It's UK only, £99 with £130 worth of free goodies included as well, which is absolutely fantastic. Don't forget to send your photos in of the amazing craft, and I'd love to see them, and you can send those to us, studio@crafterscompanion.co.uk. That's studio@crafterscompanion.co.uk. Right, I don't know about you, Jan, But I am really blooming hungry. That's hard. It's hungry work, that crafting, you know.
It sure is. It sure is.
It is. I'm really hungry.
I'm going to go and check to see whether it's snowing or not, because I don't want to have to drive home in the snow.
I fear it may be. I fear the snow tomorrow is going to be quite bad, apparently.
I'm at home
now.
tomorrow, so...
Michelle, if you're watching, leave now.
Yeah, get on the train.
Leave now. No, she does normally come up the night before, so I'd imagine she's already on her way.
Maybe.
I mean, we don't need a bit of light drizzle in the UK and the trains stop running, don't they?
Honestly,
so let's hope she gets here.
Yeah,
all
we're
right.
not used to it, are we? I must admit, we're not equipped for it. I know, and to be honest, I don't think it's anything compared to what you guys sort of in North America and that go. You know, we sort of like, it's snowing and there are a few snowflakes, and you guys are used to it like quite a lot of the year round, aren't they?
Yeah, indeed. Right, let's go and see if it's snowing then, Jan. Let's also go and get some dinner, and we'll see you guys back here in a couple of hours' time. Take care.